Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Branding Like a Boss, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of the cannabis industry's most influential brands and the talented minds behind them. I'm your host, Angela Pih, and today I'm joined by two amazing leaders from Emerald, the powerhouse company behind MJBizCon, the most attended B2B cannabis trade show in the United States, and now in its 14th year. MJBizCon brings together over 30,000 cannabis professionals, over 1,000 exhibitors, and a global audience of operators, entrepreneurs, and investors. It's an absolute must attend, can't miss event every year that we have on our calendar. So with us are Emilie Lewis, Senior Vice President of Marketing. Hi, Emilie.
Hi, Angela. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. And Harrison Radie, Vice President of Sales at Emerald. They're the strategic sales and marketing force evolving this event from a massive trade show to an unforgettable cannabis business experience. So today we're really going to be exploring how MJBizCon is changing. What can we expect this December? So welcome to the show. I'm so excited to jump in and talk to you both. Wow.
Yeah, thank you. Here, Angela. Yeah, thank you so much for having us. We love Beard Bros. We love the podcast. Big fan. It's on my rotation. So glad to be a part of it.
Well, let's jump right in and dive in. Now that it's in its 14th year, how has it evolved since the early days? Because, when I've been in the industry since 2019, so, very small period of time compared to BizCon, but I hear about brands and founders who talk about their very first MJBizCon where they're putting a jacket on and they're, trying to look very professional, going in, talking to investors and feeling like, wow, we're at BizCon, we've arrived.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I know Harrison can chime in on this one too, with the amount of conversations that he has, that I have on a daily basis, where we'll get on a call with someone and they'll be like, I was at the first BizCon. And our response to that is, well, you beat us, because we weren't even at the first BizCon. But 14 years is a long time, especially in an industry like cannabis. But yeah, we hear of the days back at the Rio, funny stories. But again, it's a testament to what Ann and Cassandra, the former owners of MJBizCon, built, and the foresight that they had for this industry, and also the industry itself. Again, we're on calls with people all the time that are telling us we were at the first or the second MJBizCon, and it's amazing to see brands that have that resilience in this industry.
Amazing.
Yeah, and things have evolved. All trade shows have evolved from day one. This it so happens we're still in an intimate stage, so we have to evolve, and even throughout the year we have to evolve. So it's fun to make sure we're supporting each tribe and celebrating that, and recognizing and making sure that we stay relevant.
Yeah.
So what's new and what's different about this year?
So much. Harrison said it really well. Even within a season, a show season for us, within the year, we have to pivot and change. And we had a team meeting actually on Friday, and it's kind of a funny saying, especially between my marketers, because I send them the friend's gift of Ross on the stairs with the couch saying pivot, because that's literally become the word that we use all the time. But we do have several new initiatives this year, but from a high level, and because I know I'm going to let Harrison talk about a few that he and the sales team have worked really hard on, but from a high level, our mission has really been the same the past few years, and that's going to be consistent in the future. It's really about bringing community together and culture together, and making sure that people know that we are everything from seed to sell at MJBizCon. We are the business of cannabis. If you're starting a business, if you're just getting into this industry, if you've been in this industry for 15, 20 plus years, everything in between, we have something at MJBizCon for everyone. But we do have a few really fun and exciting new initiatives and pavilions that I'm going to let Harrison dive into.
Yeah, and a lot of what Emilie just said is it's a lot of us listening to the industry as well. So for the first time ever, we now have like exhibitor advisory groups and attendee advisory groups where we get feedback, and then we're able to bring new things and new creative things that for each community at the show. So whether it's in cultivation, or last year we introduced our seeds and our clones with the vault. We just try and evolve, make sure that not only there's a place on the trade show floor for everyone, not only to have success and grow their business, but to network and help feel like they're part of it and growing as well.
Yeah.
Well, with these advisory groups that you've created, obviously they've helped to impact on programming, right? So
Absolutely.
then how have those ideas evolved into the overall agenda? We're talking about a full week. I know I'm landing on Monday morning and leaving maybe Friday night. So I've planned my whole week to be in Vegas for this, just because it's just become so extensive. So what does the programming look like?
Yeah, it's exciting. So we have several new really big initiatives this year. One being with Beard Bros. So we are launching a takeover of Nuwu. So Nuwu is, if you have not been, they have a beautiful location, just about a 10-minute Uber ride from the Strip. You can see the Strip from their event space. And it really is a mixture of a really beautiful dispensary, a consumption lounge, an outdoor festival and event space. And we're taking it over from Tuesday to Friday. And so Beard Bros is actually doing our first media day on Tuesday, where we're inviting the media in, giving them the first look at some of our brands, giving those, first interviews before we technically kick off and open the expo floor on a Wednesday. And then throughout the week at Nuwu, we have 40 plus brands that are going to be activating. We have different hours where we're having different meetups and groups. We're doing takeovers at night. So on Wednesday night, Harrison was just talking about our seeds and clones. They're coming in and they're taking over in their own way to celebrate seeds and clones. But each night will be something different with a different theme around it to celebrate a different side of our industry. And all you need is your MJBiz badge. That gets you in. So if you're part of MJBiz and you have a badge, you can come over and really enjoy this extension of the expo floor. So every day, once the expo floor winds down, that's when we're starting up Nuwu. And so it really is just an extension of what we do during the day. So that's really one super exciting initiative that we've launched, and no easy feat.
No.
Yeah.
And I think, and Angela, to go back to your question, the advisory boards help us that. And what we try and look at is the attendee journey throughout the week. You mentioned it. There's so much going on. You could be in Vegas the entire time and miss half of it. So what we're trying to do is for each community, from when you wake up to have some sort of networking breakfast area, to now what Emilie was discussing. Once the show closes, we can actually point a direction and keep those conversations going and the network going and the business happening.
Yep.
That's great, because there's a lot of Uber riding around the Strip and going from one event
look
to
at your
another.
expense report, it could be a half Uber. Yep.
Well, we have shuttles to Nuwu. So skip the Uber, jump on our shuttle, you can get to Nuwu.
I think that's such a great idea, because if people can take meetings at the convention floor and program and schedule meetings at Nuwu, that's just going to make things so much easier for everybody, right? Because we kind of go to the show floor, we meet people, we walk the aisles, and then we're off to the chandelier bar or the lobby bar at the Wynn. But if you're bringing people to Nuwu where there's consumption, they get to experience brands. It seems like the best of both worlds.
And those things can certainly still happen. So what we want to do too is we have different timing at Nuwu. So you can go straight from the show floor, and then we will have things set up throughout the night. But it's designed to where, if you have some engagement at 7 or 7:30, you can leave and not miss anything that we're doing. So
yeah. And I'll say this, the Chandelier Bar does not have a consumption lounge, nor a dispensary, nor 40 plus brands that are there to activate and create an experience for you. So going to be a little different this year. Hopefully we're going to get people out of the Chandelier Bar and and over to NuWoo, because there's just so much more going on for the industry there. So.
I wonder if there's a way for you to reach out to exhibitors and attendees. And I've got some questions to ask us on that, but, live from NuWoo, where you're getting some content of this is what's going on now. So if you're not here, you're missing out. And these are the conversations that people are having.
Yeah.
I think we might know some people.
Right?
Yeah. I think there's a really amazing media brand that probably could handle that task.
Right. Yeah. And they're amazing at it. What a great crew the Beard Bros have.
Yeah.
In all of these very packed days, I've seen survival guides that go out a couple of weeks before BizCon, and also, people's list of what's going on in parties. How do brands stand out? To be able to gain visibility. There's so many brands on the floor. We want to create unforgettable experiences. What are some examples of what brands have done in the past, or some advice that you would give brands to help them stand out?
Yeah, that's a great question. What I would say for brands is understanding that MJBiz is everything from seed to sell, but you as a brand don't need to be everything. You need to hone in on what you do best. And so what is your niche in the industry? What is special about your brand? If you're a cultivator, what is the new innovation that's coming out on one of the machines that you have? If you're a brand, what's your new strain that you're introducing? If you are an accessory company, what is happening? What new accessory is coming out? And really create an experience around that. Because I think sometimes what happens is we all get caught up in the fun and the excitement that is Vegas and the showiness of trying to be everything to everybody and the big lights. But really sometimes it is about capturing the attendees that are coming there on a mission to look for what you have to offer, and then do that really well. And any experience should be around whatever you have that's new in the market.
Yeah. And I have to say, and it starts before the show. So whether it's, driving that awareness through the channels that they might already have, or through what MJ provides, creating that experience and leading up to it. If you think about, I like to use Josh Kesselman as a great example at Raw, right? You want to come to the booth to see what's happening and what's new. And it all kind of drives up to that. And, times are, can be tough right now in the industry, and, budgets. And if companies have done things, like Emilie said, true to themselves, and it's worked in the past, there's no reason not to bring that back. For a new company coming in, I always give the advice of, this is a great exercise to do regardless, especially if you're new, is I've seen people set up their booth in their warehouse, which is good. If you haven't done MJBiz before, it's good to make sure it all fits and it is synced and aesthetically.
Yeah, that's great advice. Yeah.
Also, I've seen people give previews out of that. So when attendees come to the show, they're looking for it, whether it's consciously or subconsciously. They've been, oh, let's go check this out. I've been dying to see it. And there's little things too. Think about the customer's journey. I bring this up because has nothing to do with the aesthetics of the booth, but we've all been to trade shows on day 2 or day 3. And at least if I have about 4 or 5 more booths to hit, I'll remember that one booth that always has nicer carpet for my feet.
Yes.
There's little things that, you can make it a little bit more hospitable for the attendee as well.
Yeah. But to Harrison's point, the days of showing up at a trade show and just crossing your fingers for business, those days are long gone. I do think you have to do the due diligence as a brand if you're showing up. And if you're showing up at MJBiz, reach out to us, partner with us, let us know what's new, because we have an entire database of everyone from seed to sell. And we have, quite a nice size database that, we can reach out to our customers. And that's what we want. We want to reach out to our customers and let those attendees know what's new. When you're revealing something, what is going to be the big reveal? Can you tease it a little bit? And work with us if you're showing up, but do your due diligence ahead of time. If you start reaching out to your attendees a week before the show, you're already behind.
Emilie, that's a great point. And that's what we talk to exhibitors all the time. we're trying to do the same thing. We're trying to draw awareness and what's cool and what's relevant at the show. And exhibitors don't always tell us what they have cooking. We want to hear that. We want to know that because we're looking to bring the same audience and making sure it's a success.
Yep.
Now, Emilie, to your point about the database, so are brands able to take advantage of that database with follow up and follow through post-event communications?
100%. Look, we have both paid and non-paid. So I don't want people to think that if you're going to reach out to MJBiz, we're immediately going to put a price tag to it. That's really not the case. We do have a lot of unpaid, complimentary options for those that are exhibiting at MJ. Our Buzz newsletter, I mean, we get engagement rates up to like 43, 44%. For those that aren't marketers, an email engagement rate of that is really good.
Yes.
So we get fantastic engagement rates, meaning we have a captive audience that actually waits for that newsletter to come out every week and wants to read it. So there's little things that you can do, just calling us and having a conversation and saying, hey, this is coming out. This is how I want it to be. Here's some assets. And then we can plug into our social, our newsletter, and then, our different assets on our website that, again, all complimentary. But then there are paid options, to your point. If you do have, some marketing budget to spend, we do have a really great hold on our segment. So you can tell us, hey, I really want to segment cultivators within your audience. We can tell you how many we have. We can set up, a string of email engagements to reach out to that particular audience. So yes, there are paid options. And then, anybody that responds to that email, you're going to get direct hits, and they're going to email you directly. And you're going to get to capitalize on that. So, again, complimentary and paid, we have them both. But I would just say, have the conversation with your AE, have the conversation with your sales team, have the conversation with the marketing team, let us know. And there's always really creative ways, because our goal is not only exhibitor ROI, but our goal is also attendee ROI. We have to make sure that our attendees find what they need and our exhibitors get the attendees that they need. So it's twofold.
Yeah. Whenever you open an email and it has, the MJBiz logo on there, there's a certain level of credentialing or credibility. It's like, oh, this is legit. This is something that has been accepted, by the industry. So there's more weight to it. Yeah,
absolutely. And I mean, not to mention, we have an entire media side of our business with the Daily. And, I will say the content team over on the Daily is fantastic. And when we hear of stories, when we have conversations with our exhibitors and they have a story coming out, that team has been really great about finding a story around that and plugging that into our editorial content. Now, it's not always guaranteed, but again, if you have a story, if you have something new that's coming out, 9 times out of 10, if you tell us, we can create a really fantastic, even editorial piece around that. So there's tons of options. People just have to pick up the phone and or send us an email and have the conversation, and we're here.
Yeah, it's such a great time. Such a great time to be, launching new initiatives, launching new products, and creating new news and buzz, because you've got a captive audience. So I think for brands, it's a wonderful opportunity to have an immediate impact.
Yeah, you do have a captive audience. And one thing that I will say, and look, we hear it. To Harrison's point earlier, we know times are not easy right now. Take cannabis out of the picture, just the state of our world right now, no matter what side you're on, the state of our world right now can be tough. The economy, it can be tough right now. We've heard it with tariffs from a lot of our accounts. And then you add cannabis on there as well, and you layer another level of, regulatory stagnation. We know that it's tough. But the one thing that I tell people all the time is, this is when you see the brands that have longevity stand out. The brands that are going to be here 3 years from now are the brands that are showing up at MJBiz. They're the brands that are innovating and launching new in these tough times as best they can, because those are the brands that the attendees and the buyers are going to trust 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. So now is not the time to take your foot off the gas. right now is the time to lean in when other people maybe can't or won't. Right now is the time to lean in and capitalize on that and take advantage of that for your brand so that 3 years from now, you create those loyal customers.
Yeah,
for sure. So you show up, you're showing the industry that you're here, standing shoulder to shoulder, and that you intend to be here for a long time.
Yep.
Yeah, it's definitely the forum to be able to do that. You're also creating some really powerful strategic networking and culture initiatives, with forums like Women in Cannabis and also Achieving Equity. Some of these after hours events and New Woo as part of that takeover. Let's speak to that. I mean, to the audience, they might not be aware of these strategic network opportunities that you've created.
Yeah, we've had a social equity program for several years now. It's something that we believe in. It is part of our DNA. It's part of this industry's DNA, and it's not going anywhere. Our goal with one of the equity programs that we run through a partner of ours, 40 Tons, is to allow brands an entryway into the show with essentially a very, very low cost, almost zero cost barrier. Now, obviously, there is, there are different judging kind of capabilities, and we rotate that program every single season because we want to make sure that we give everyone an equal shot. But it really just allows them to get their footing while they're, a small business or starting. And then hopefully next year we can graduate them into some of, again, the lower cost entries into MJ, and slowly as they build their business, they build with us. Women, obviously, this is, nothing new that I'm telling the audience here. Women are just vastly underrepresented in this industry, as well as in a lot of other boardrooms and C-suites across every industry. So we have some of the smartest, most just innovative women in this industry. And so our goal is really to honor those women. So we do have a reception that we will continue. We started last year where we were honoring 5 women that we feel that year were doing really amazing work or had done, really amazing work in the industry, paving the way for others. And we will be doing that again this year. Amazing. And we will continue that in future years.
Love that.
100%.
Yeah. And then one new pavilion, Harrison, that I think, you might want to talk about is our Indigenous Cannabis Village, which is really exciting this year.
Yeah. That came about. We were working with ICIA. Angela, you probably know Mary Jane Oatman. She had brought this concept to us. And I had been to a few shows that were on tribal lands, and there's a lot of great brands. There's a lot of great solutions that are happening. And we're partnering with them, celebrating, making sure that they have a spot in a area at MJBiz. So they'll be in our cultivation area this year, which is in our North Hall. But you'll see it just really impressive companies that are coming out of tribal lands, and we all know that. And yes. We just want to make sure we're representing them and growing that as well. So there's a lot of, I even call it tribes on the show floor, but we want to recognize that. And we, some partners we started last year, and it's all about, again, listening to the attendee advisory committee, our exhibitor advisor. What can we do to help expand growth at the show? So the Indigenous is one. Last year, we launched another pavilion with MITA. And that was designed for brands to be able to go from state to state and navigate that process from bringing brands from, let's say you're in California, you're trying to get into Nevada. There's a lot of hurdles. There's a lot of learnings for that. So we have things like the state meetups, which really helps with that. But now we have a pavilion to be able to find those manufacturing centers, whether it's, gummies or whether it's flower, to be able to enter and expand your business. So constantly looking for those new partnerships. Emilie, I think we went from in 2024 to under 100. Now we have over 200.
Yeah.
And,
that's amazing.
I remember doing so much.
I remember last year, I think it's one of the breakfast slots where supporting education
Oh,
within
yeah.
the cannabis industry with the Ganje program. I think there are
Yeah.
a lot of certificates that were handed out just before one of the award ceremonies. And, you know, we often talk about how important education is for our
Yes.
industry, not just for people who are coming into the industry, but also, you know, existing operators who want to up level. So how's education being supported during the week of BizCon?
Yeah, that's a really good point, and I couldn't agree with you more, Angela. As a, you know, I always call myself out as a little bit of a nerd here when it comes to, I would literally probably still be in school if maybe I could just pay for college for the rest of my life every year, because learning, I love learning. I love sitting down. Like, I'm that person. And I always joke about it when people come to my house and they look at my bookshelves and it's all like self-help or how to become a better leader, and I'm like, I promise I'm fine. I just always want to get better and learn, you know, because they're like, wait, is everything okay? But yes, education is so important. And I think for those, you know, most of the people listening to this podcast are going to be in the industry, but for those
Yep.
who might be listening that aren't in the industry, until you step foot in the industry, I don't think you can fully grasp, because I can safely say that I didn't fully grasp every single day how you are learning something new, because this industry, unlike any other industry, is state by state, city by city, county, jurisdiction. Like, it is so dialed down to,
Yep.
you have to know almost your zip code and then how things change within that zip code to be able to actually run a business.
100%.
So it is
Especially if you're a retailer.
Yes, it is a very nuanced industry. And to Harrison's point, even if you're a manufacturer, a distributor, or a cultivator, like, you know, what you can and can't do in across state lines, and how do you grow and expand your business? You know, it's not like, I'll just use the clothing industry, where you can sell clothes to the entire universe that's out there without any repercussion. At the end of the day, you really just need to know the economy and the dollar exchange rates, and, you know, shipping logistics in and out of countries. In cannabis, it's much more nuanced. So not only do you have to learn the business principles and practices in setting up your business and continuing to grow and scale your business, you also have to learn about this plant that we have only skimmed the surface of what this plant can actually do for us as humans, and the cannabinoid system. I mean, you know, 10, 15 years ago, no one even was saying this word. This word wasn't a thing. And now we have the current president of our United States coming out and saying the cannabinoid system in a video. Like, who would
I know, it's like him talking about the health benefits of cannabinoids, and I was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, you know, at the end of the day, this is a very layered and nuanced industry. So education is always at the center of what we do. We have the way that MJBiz is laid out is we have a day for forums. And our forums, essentially, if you think about 3 layers of education, our forums are the top layer. They are the most intensive. So you pick a forum based on a topic: finance, marketing, science, and it's an all-day intensive about that particular subject and everything within the last year that either has progressed or is a question mark, or that companies have innovated around that topic. So that happens on Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, when we open up the expo floor, we have conference. And conference, we divide into tracks. And so we have a business 101 track. We have a psychedelics track. We have tracks that are much more subjective, but subject matter driven. And then you can kind of choose your own adventure on conference. You might want to know something about, you know, psychedelics in one track and one conference track. And then you might also want to jump over to marketing because you're a marketer that happens to be in the psychedelics industry. Sure. So you can kind of, you know, again, choose your own adventure. And then last year, one thing that we brought to the expo floor was really this other layer of content and education within our hubs and our lounge stages. Yeah. So Harrison mentioned the state meetups. Everyone that's listening to this podcast, you cannot miss your state meetup. Yeah. That, if there's one thing that you go to at MJBiz, that is it. I always say the state of the industry, which is always on our main stage. It is the most talked about session, state of the industry, high level, but then you want to break it down into your state. So what you hear in that state of the industry, you want to take into a group of people that are in your state doing similar things and boots on ground, tactical. Here's what I did. Here's what I did. Here's what I learned. And so those state meetups and those more informal conversations and fireside chats happen on our expo floor. But you brought up something really interesting with Ganjier, because we do have additional education programs. And Ganjier is just such a fantastic company to work with. Max Simon, who's the owner over there, I cannot speak more highly about this partnership. He has years and years steeped in education, and some of the smartest people when it comes to the plant and what the plant can do in this industry. And so we are offering the Ganjier certification this year. It's a product certification. It's completely online, but we have a package where you can go through the online course, you get your MJBiz ticket, you get the online course. And then once you're there on site, we have a few different events, one being a tasting and testing, almost like a sommelier wine tasting style event where you do that with the plant at NUWU. And then we have a graduation celebration for all those that have gone through the program. So if you
what an amazing destination and venue to receive your, certification, to know that you are so much a part of the industry at the highlight of the trade show year, in December, which then brings to, on the one side, we've got education. And then on the other aspect, awards.
Yeah.
Just epic, this MJBiz Awards, and I want to hear about it. I want you to have the opportunity to talk to the audience about this coast to coast awards endeavor.
Yeah.
One thing I want to add, because it wasn't brought up in education, because we have to recognize, and we do recognize, we are the global cannabis trade show. So we also brought in partnership with ICBC. We talked a little bit about META and navigating the state to state journey. We also want to be that true source for international. So we're working with ICBC. There's going to be education about expanding business internationally as well on the trade show floor.
Right.
But yes, great segue into the bowl, which is
one more thing before that. Then, is there a place on your website that we can find, the education, the forums, so that we have a very extensive before you go, before you go type of instructions for attendees?
Yeah, absolutely. And Harrison, you bring up, you bring up a very, very good point, because I think that those that are in the industry, lately in the past year, global has been a really big buzz. It seems like they're having a little bit of a green rush that we had several years ago. And so knowing the difference between how they set up their medical side, which is all medical based, and the science and the data behind that versus what we've done in the US on the recreational side, and maybe how we can learn on the medical side here. There's some really good conversations that are going to happen at that Global Exchange Pavilion with ICBC leading the charge. But Angela, to your point, yes, you can find out everything you need to know on our website, MJBiz, biz is with a Z, conference.com. And there's a couple of different pages. You can go to attend and you can get an expo overview. You can get a conference schedule. You can look at some of our different scholarship programs. There are some highlights. Under highlights, you can see all about NUWU and you can see about state takeovers. So I urge people on that navigation, there's a few really key drop downs that will give you a full schedule. But we always come out with
there's still an opportunity to apply for a scholarship to attend BizCon.
The scholarships are closed at this point, unfortunately, because we do have to go into kind of the analysis stage and we need time for that. Sure. So the scholarships are closed, but we will reopen those early next year for anybody who's interested. So every year they're up there. But to your point, we do a know before you go, because it's a lot.
It's so much.
Watch those emails, because we have your guides, we have the know before you go, and we even break them down into segments. So if you're a cultivator, if you're looking to get into that side, or if you're a retail and brand, or if you're manufacturing and processing or packaging, we break our Know Before You Goes down into different segments to kind of give you the cheat sheets that you need.
Awesome. All right, let's talk about that initiative, the first ever MJ Bowl Awards.
Yes, this was also a fun, big undertaking this year. I think when Harrison and I started out the year, we sat in a strategy room and had all these great big ideas. And then once we got into it, look, we've pulled them off, but it is no small feat. So, I have to.
We were supposed to narrow them down.
I know, we didn't do
at the top
that.
of the hour, which is you're everywhere. We're seeing you at events, we're seeing you at community gatherings, and there's the awards, there's the education, but teaming up with Buddhist, right, for the award.
Yeah,
100%.
I was going to say there is a small and mighty MJBiz team behind everything that we're talking about today, and so I have to give the team a shout out. And then there are some fantastic partners. And you just brought up one. So Buddhist is our partner with the MJ Bowl. For those that don't know Buddhist, I tell everybody immediately, if you're a consumer of this plant, download the app immediately. It will be your best friend. It is a more elevated, better version of Yelp for the cannabis industry. It really allows consumers to judge and rate and review product. It allows certified ganjiers that have gone through this long educational program to be, very specialized in the plant to give you their ratings and reviews. And then here in California, they have launched their points system into a lot of dispensaries, which is so great because most of us are used to going into, a store if we're a wine, if we're, into wine, and we see the little shelf talkers in Trader Joe's, and it tells you, hey, this wine came from some small, segment of Argentina and it's family owned, and then it gives it a point rating. And so that's what Buddhist has also done going into the retail space, is they've created this shelf talker point system so that now as a consumer, when you go into a dispensary, you can actually see the product rated and reviewed, which is just fantastic. Again, it is this heavy concentration on the end consumer, which is something that the cannabis industry is catching up to for other industries.
Sure. We're talking about, each market being different, even just across the US, each market, each state, each city. So when you're trying to elevate and create a standardization of the quality of product from coast to coast, you need to kind of create a framework, right?
Yes. Yeah. And Jocelyn and Claudio, who own and started and run Buddhist, Jocelyn was the first employee at Headset, which is, most people in the industry know Headset, a staple in our industry for data. And then Claudio spent a lot of time in the industry as well, owning businesses, but also has that experience from the wine industry side. So bringing those worlds together to create that framework, they were a natural partner. But MJ Bowl is exciting for us. It is our first product competition. We are not pitting the coast against each other. I know some people have, taken the headline and said New York against California, but
yeah, we're actually going to have a boxing ring on the show floor. And
okay.
No. Exactly.
Okay.
Put the heavyweights from California and New York. No, we're really celebrating both two really, of our largest and most exciting markets in this space. And we're celebrating top producers in those markets and top products. So there's 5 categories within each, with a few subcategories underneath them. There'll be some subcategory winners that will be announced in the next month. So you will know some of the finalists in the next month, leading into MJ for the gold medal awards, the top of the top in every subcategory. So those will be announced on the trade show floor on Thursday at MJBiz. So, no easy feat. There's a lot of logistics. And I have to mention our 2 retail partners, which, as well as our distribution partner. So Cannabis
and our judges too.
Yeah, exactly. So our retail partner in California is the Artistry, and our retail partner in New York is Gotham. Two beautiful and very aspirational, in my opinion, just
very lifestyle driven dispensaries. Yeah.
Just where dispensaries are going, where they should be. They're so beautiful and elevated, such an experience for both these dispensaries. So there are retail partners, have to mention them because they're doing a lot of heavy lifting on the back end to make sure that we get all this product in, submitted, get it out to our judges. Cannabis, again, thank you. They're helping to distribute this out to our judges. So right now we're in the phase where our judges are actually tasting, testing, consuming, and judging. And soon we'll have
enjoying themselves.
And enjoying themselves. I know. If you want to be a judge, contact Jocelyn and Claudio at Buddhist because they've put together a stellar group of judges. But again, a lot of our judges are certified GANGIAs and or Buddhist.
Yeah, so they're really well credentialed.
Very well credentialed. Yeah.
Yeah, we're so excited for this. It's just dizzying the amount of coordination, events, groups of people that you're bringing together, the programming, the panels. At the end of it, say on December 20th, let's say, what would success look like when you look back at BizCon for this year, for exhibitors, for those of us who are making the trek and attending the shows, for those who've won awards or got nominated, what does success look like?
I don't know, Harrison, what do you think?
Yeah, we have surveys that come back that, give us some of the highlights and what worked, what didn't work. But really it's about seeing the faces and the networking happening on the trade show floor. I've been in trade shows for a long time and I consider it, and I'm sure I know Emilie does too, but that's our baby at the end of the day. We want to see it bright, successful, happy, and flourishing. So a lot of the surveys are great, but the people who are having the most business, the most time, I don't even think they're doing the surveys. And then we hear about that even the months coming after the show with business and the networking, all that investment that they have put in, because it is an investment. It's a workout. And when you get out of the workout, you're refreshed. And, that's the success is seeing people want to come back year over year, creating. And also, for me this year, and I'm sure Emilie too, is the recognition of all these new initiatives and to see them working and growing and building upon for 2026. I'm already looking at 2027.
That's amazing. Well, it would be great to bring you guys back in early 26 to talk about some of the success stories. So it's not just what should we be expecting, but, just to be able to share some stories with the audiences. I don't know, January, February, when we start to hear about what were some of the highlights, the bright spots, and the success stories that are coming back to you from brands and operators. But before I let you go, at the end of every Branding Like a Boss, there's a fun closer where I get to ask you if you had a cannabis-themed superhero alter ego, what would it be and why? So, Harrison, I'm going to start with you, and we're going to finish with Emilie.
Just in case Emilie was going to steal my superhero, that's a good idea.
We did not discuss this prior, so I don't know.
I've got so many magical powers.
All right. Well, you gave us a hint before this. So I was thinking about it, and I'm a water enthusiast, and my history and my best times with the plant have been in the water, whether that's surfing or fishing. So I'm going to go with Gelato Machado.
Ooh.
So a little praise to the Shabinsky family and Mario with Gelato, but also Rob Machado is a great laid back surfer. He's a great advocate. I ride his surfboards, and so I actually right before this, Angela, I'll send it over. I chat GPT'd what Gelato Machado would look like. I'll send it to you.
Ooh, all right. I mean, we can put it into the clip.
I love that. I love that you chat GPT. I feel like it has to have a mustache. There has to be a mustache.
It was hard to get. Yeah, it's hard to get the smoke in, but yes, it's got everything everything you'd expect.
I love
Coming
this.
over.
Oh
All
my
right,
God.
that's gonna have to be part of the promo when we get to sending that out to the audience for pregame. I
Yeah.
love
The
this.
Silver Surfer action. Yeah.
I love it.
Yay!
Immediately after we jump off this, I am putting mine into ChatGPT. I love this use of AI, Harrison. Gelato Machado. I feel like t-shirts are going to happen for MJBiz now. Mine would have to be, I guess what I would say is I always have the memory of my first MJBiz 3 years ago and the Rosie the Riveter Women in Weed, buy your weed from women shirt. And anyone that has even sat down for a coffee with me knows that I am a fierce advocate of women. I just think we are magical creatures that do so much. So I'm going to say mine, I don't have a good name like Harrison has, but I'm going to go off of the Pink Jesus because I think God's a woman. So I'm going to go with, maybe I need to create a better name, but I'm going to go with maybe something like Pink Rosie or something like that, because I'm imagining a Rosie the Riveter, super strong.
Can do attitude.
Yeah. Lots of good attitude, but super approachable and, calm. I will say, going off the Pink Jesus strain, like something that really just like calms you, helps you kind of get in focus a little bit. But I definitely, I think, I always am in the mindset that
That's a superhero to me. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Where we choose to plant and able to help us tap into our focus, and help us tap into our superpowers.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Thank you so much for incredibly enlightening, and also I've kind of like taken notes of what I need to focus on for BizCon week as I schedule it. Thank you for being part of the show, and we look forward to having you back in early 2026 to hear about the success stories.
Yeah, thank you for having us. It was fun.
Thank you.
Thank you, Angela.
Bye, everyone.